Good evening, hushlings, and welcome.
Which brings us to talking about another airstrip, which is a lesser-known one. We talk about the Cheshire Airstrip. So there's a story about seeing this airstrip, and the source is a commercial pilot with a strong interest in Area 51. While he was socializing with other pilots, the topic of Area 51 came up, and he discovered that several of his acquaintances had previously worked for EG&G and Key Air, and they had flown the, quote, commuter runs between Las Vegas, Groom Lake, and the Tonopah test range facilities.
This is straight up speculation. This is a story that I was reading. This is a partial quote. One of the pilots that we were talking about had said, occasionally they flew to somewhere else in the Nellis complex. This quote, somewhere else, is what made the story such an interest to pilots, and it was far from routine flying. Before these flights left Las Vegas, the pilots had to get clearance from NORAD to ensure that there weren't any foreign spy satellites overhead. That's actually wild. Like, before you take off, you have to make sure that there's clearance in not just airspace, but space.
Russian spy satellites.
That would add some validity to it, I would imagine, when you're talking about security.
I wonder how long that's been like a procedural thing. Has that been in place since the 50s? Has that been just kind of a running order since its inception? I wonder about
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd assume since like the 50s, since people were starting to go to space.
As long as satellites have been around, but we weren't the first ones to put satellite in space, so.
No.
And it continues, as they approached their destination, they contacted the ground and set up their landing pattern. What made it difficult from the pilot's viewpoint was that there wasn't a runway in sight, and only miles of sagebrush and covered desert. If you know what southern Nevada or any of Nevada looks like, you'll know what I'm talking about. Then, as they continued their approach, a runway suddenly appeared in the midst of a sea of nothingness. End quote. That's fucking crazy.
That is pretty insane. If you think about it, it's like flying blind, and then all of a sudden this airstrip just appears in front of you.
Poof.
I don't see that being impossible.
No, of course
like
not.
From a technical standpoint, like some sort of optical illusion, until you got to a certain height from the ground, you wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah, certain angles and whatnot.
Yeah,
we talk about a little bit of it in the Philadelphia experiment, our first episode. They're talking about miraging things, or go listen to it.
Imagine being that day one pilot.
Yeah.
And you're flying with this guy that's probably done the run before, and he turns to you and he says, hey,
We're going.
just keep flying this way.
Yeah.
And don't worry if it looks like you're going to fly into a mountain, because you're not. That's got to be nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Even if you are a person who's flown it before, you're probably waiting for that one day where you turn the corner and you think, hey, here come the lights, and then you don't see them and you freak out minorly.
Remember, the best kept secrets are hidden in plain sight.